Lemonade! Okay, so the first thing I did was I tried HEB brand lemonade. Next thing I tried was I found a recipe on, I believe it was Kitchn. Yeah, Kitchn. Let's see, the Kitchn, and then one from Spun Run, and then I found one from Reddit. That was the last one that I tried. This is a Questest for the McBestest lemonade. So first, the HEB lemonade. Well, it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to make it. It's already pre-made. The total cost was $3 with 48 cents, not including sales tax, which in Texas is a little high, but not included. I was able to drink 7 glasses of lemonade from that bottle. And so that gives me an average cost of approximately 50 cents per glass of lemonade. Now for the Kitchn recipe, it's kind of like an old-fashioned Texas recipe, or really Southern recipe. The exact amounts are somewhat different every time, but basically the idea is it's about a 50 mix of lemon juice and sugar, and then you water it down a bit. Now for this recipe, I got 10 lemons from HEB, and you can see here on the table I'm showing you the different things that you're going to need. You need a knife to cut the lemons. I have a lemon squeezer, or juicer there rather. It's really handy. You're going to need a strainer. I got a bowl, and I have a pitcher there, which of course you'll need because you're going to have to store the lemonade you make somewhere. And that's also, I think I got that at HEB a while back, but I don't remember. And sorry, it's a little dirty. I make a lot of iced tea, and I'm a bachelor, so I'm pretty bad at cleaning things. Now the recipe here said 10 large lemons, but I got the smaller ones. It cost me about $5 to buy just the lemons. So I know in terms of cost, I'm already well beyond what the HEB lemonade cost. Then again, maybe I'll get more than 7 glasses out of it, so I'm not really sure if it's, not going to be as cost effective. And it might taste better too. But all you got to do is just, cut them. I just cut them into quarters. I squeeze them out, and some of the seeds pop out, which I end up reusing, but I'll more on that later. But the trick here is just, make sure that you don't make it too messy. And if you do, you can just make sure you fish out the seeds before you're done. And then once you have all the juice ready, and you see I got all the seeds in there, it's kind of messy. But what I'm going to do is I'll just take the lid off the pitcher there, and then I'll just take the strainer. And if you do something like this, do it at your own risk. So I've done this a bunch of times. One time I made a mess, and it took me a while to clean up. But set her down there, and then all you gotta do is pour right into the strainer. And this will grab some of the pulp too, as you'll see. But dang, for 10 lemons, that's a lot of seeds. And then it's a matter of breaking out the sugar. Got a good amount of lemon juice in there. And I'm going to measure out 1 cup of sugar on my Keep Away Ants Tupperware thing here. Then in she goes. Now, I think there's a certain amount of water you're supposed to add to this recipe, but what I do instead is there's a thing on the side of the pitcher there. So you can take a measuring cup and measure it out if you want, but yeah. So there's a thing on there that says like it's I think 2 quarts, which is the amount it's supposed to make. So instead of measuring it out with cups, I'm just going to fill it up with water to that point. Ta-da! Okay, well I need a little bit more, but it was a ta-da moment anyway. And then I put it in the fridge and wait for it to chill. Easy peasy. And now, to taste it, see if it's any good, pop out a couple of Texas-sized ice cubes here. And then pour some in. Don't want to waste any drops here. And the moment of truth. And that was some fine lemonade. I can tell you that much right now. So the total cost ended up being $5.57. Okay, so the next recipe was from Spun Run. And this recipe involved making what's commonly called a simple syrup. It's like a 1-to-1 ratio of water and sugar that you put inside a small saucepan. And I believe I put it on medium heat, although I don't think I actually captured it on the camera. And be careful using your stovetop. And I stirred it up there as you saw earlier. Now I believe it was 5 lemons. Let me check my notes here real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. It was 6 small lemons that I cut up here. Kind of like the last recipe. You cut up the lemons, you juice them, you take the seeds out. Pretty straightforward. I did this while the syrup was cooking, or rather, the syrup was like on the stovetop. And I was, glancing back, and when I looked back after, I think it was just about 5, maybe 10 minutes, it had simmered. You don't want to boil it, but just simmered into, you can see that the sugar's dissolved, and that's how you know the syrup is done. Now here, I just took the seeds out with a fork because there weren't that many. I didn't feel like taking out this, I guess you call it the sieve, or gosh, what's it called? The filter thingy. Um, anyway, I just separated the seeds there. Now, all I did was I poured the lemon juice in there into the pitcher, and then after that I got the sugar syrup, which I then poured in. Use that spatula to make sure you get every little last drop of that sugary goodness in there. And lemonade's supposed to be a sweet thing, a refreshment. And then it's just a matter of adding water. I forget how many cups was in the recipe, but I just added water until it was, at the right level. And then I stirred it up, and in the fridge it goes. And that really was all there was to it. So it ended up costing about 89 cents per glass. Pardon the rice in the background. It was pretty tasty. I like the other one better, though. Now, this is the 1940s lemonade recipe. I found this on Reddit, I think, if I recall correctly. Someone had posted a 1940s lemonade recipe. It's a lot like the sugar spun run one, except you use the zest of the lemon. So I have a zester here that I'm using, and I used 3 extra large lemons. They cost more than the small lemons, but I wanted to see if I was going to get more juice out of them, or same amount of juice as, say, 6 smaller lemons. But the larger lemons, to me, are easier to zest, and that's why I selected them for this particular recipe. Although if you wanted to, I suppose you could always get a lot of smaller ones and just take your time. And nothing wrong with that. And my goodness, I thought I edited most of this out. I guess I didn't. Oops. But anyway, just zest and lemons, the zest of life. And it's also another syrup recipe, so it's the same idea of you combine some water and some sugar in a small saucepan. And just give a little bit of a stir before it goes on that stove top. And then you just put it on there. I put it on medium heat. And the difference here, as opposed to the sugar spun run one, is that you take after you've zested your lemons and you got your zest, you add that to the syrup. While that's the syrup is doing its thing, while it's being formed, I went ahead and juiced the lemons. And then afterwards, I just turned off the heat, let it cool off a little bit. Think of all the recipes, this is the one that had the most number of steps. Not saying it was hard or nothing. But to put it all together at the end, I started with the water, and then I added the syrup with the zest in it. And I think I ended up using a spatula to get all of it, but I edited it out because this video is already going on way too long. And then you add in the lemon juice, minus the seeds, of course. And then you get out find that wooden spoon. With that wooden spoon. Aha, there it is. And you give it a good stir-a-roo. And after that, all you gotta do, all that remains, is putting it in that fridge and letting it cool off. I did notice in terms of the volume, it had made a little bit, seemed like it was didn't make too much lemonade, this particular recipe, compared to the others. I would still say it was pretty good though, as you'll soon see. Now just for presentation, one of the things you can do is if you have an extra lemon, you can go ahead and cut slice-a-roos. Just be careful, don't cut yourself or nothing. And so for the 1940s recipe, it was $1 with 7 cents per glass. Only made 3 glasses though, but only about a little over $3 in terms of cost. And as you can see here, I'm pouring it out. I was about to try it, and it's the moment of truth. It does look nice with that lemon, doesn't it? And when I tasted it, it was pretty darn good. Now here I have a spreadsheet that I put everything together with the different recipes, comparing them. The HEB Lemonade had the most servings and was the most cost effective. I did like the Kitchn recipe the best, although I think there's other versions of it that are kind of similar, and that's like you put lemon juice in with sugar. The syrup recipes I didn't like as much, but they were still pretty good, I gotta admit. So doing a breakdown here, the HEB Lemonade was the most convenient and had the lowest price per glass. And it's convenient because you just buy it and it's already made. That's easy. Now, the Kitchn recipe to me had the best taste, but it was also the most expensive per glass. I'd say if you're making your own lemonade, I think it's worth putting in a little bit of spending a little bit more, my opinion. The syrup recipes, I combined the sugar Spun Run and the 1940s one. They tasted good, and it's a good compromise between, a good taste and, the cost. It's like a balance. Now, one thing I did put in here, it was a little short video about lemon seeds, because if you want to keep your costs down, one thing you can try doing, and lemons don't grow true to seed, so I'm not sure this is going to work, but it's something I've done. I rinse off the seeds, and I plant them, and here's a lemon plant I have from a couple years ago. I think this is about a year ago. And as you can see there, I put some of the seeds down there. I've also got some pecans in that pot that I'm trying to grow. And you give them a little bit of water and they sprout pretty well. There might be a way to, have an indoor plant that maybe gives you lemons so you can make your own thing. But anyway, that's all I have for today. And that is the end of the video. Stay tuned for more videos from Jacques Pierre Cuisine. Farewell, monsieur and mademoiselles.